This is Eagle Owl, and today I'll be talking about AJ Brown. Sounds like he's back. Also, Nick Sirianni, do he still got his fingerprints on this offense? I mean, a lot of it. We're gonna talk about that, and will Cooper DeJean get the opportunity to start in the nickel? But let's get straight into it. All right, man. Before we get straight into it, I just want to talk about Bryce Huff a little bit. Bryce Huff, is he being used incorrectly? You know, yeah, I've seen my past videos. I go off on Bryce Huff, but this is not the time. I wonder if we're using his skill set incorrectly. I'm not gonna let Baldy explain it, but I'm saying like the way he just lined up in general and Robert Sala defense versus our defense. Our defense, 2 point stance. Robert Sala defense, 4 point stance. They let him just rush the quarterback. Is his get off better that way? Like in a more wide nine instead of what we're doing? Maybe, but I just can't put too much stock into that. It's because it just seemed like his effort, like it's like he's not even trying. But Vic Fangio saying he is improving, trying to get him to develop. And the reporters was asking him like, when you signed him, basically what did you see in him? And we seen a guy who can go get the quarterback, and they knew they was gonna have to develop him in other places. And so far, that's not working out. And then also, he's not getting the quarterback. It's not like, okay, he's bad at these other things, but man, he's one hell of a pass rusher. He's just not showing anything. And I wonder if Bryce Huff just grabbed the money too fast. Because now he's technically hurting his career. Like, he's getting paid, but it just don't look good. And I'm hoping he develops, because if he develops, that just helps the team. So Bryce Huff, you got a lot to fix, man. Definitely got a lot to fix. I'm just not buying that. It's just the scheme. Again, I see the effort too. The effort is just not there. And maybe I'm comparing him to Hassan Reddick a little too much in my head, even though I know he's not Hassan Reddick. And, hopefully he can pick it up. Hopefully he can. The Eagles paid him a lot of money. A lot of money. So hopefully he can deliver. It's only 4 games. It's been a terrible 4 games, but it's only 4 games at the end of the day. And let's talk about the Brown brothers. That's what I'm gonna call them, the Brown brothers. Pause. And Sidney Brown and AJ Brown. So Sidney Brown sound like he will be back, and Vic Fangio talked about Sidney Brown coming back, and this is what he had to say.
How much do you think Sidney Jones can contribute coming off? I'm Sidney Brown. I'm sorry, Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown can contribute coming off the.
We'll see. We're excited to get him coming back. We all have to have some patience, which I know isn't a big virtue amongst any of us at this time of the year. The guy hadn't played any football since his injury, I believe was first week of January last year. Here we are. It's going to be in October, and his OTAs and training camp are going to have to be squished together fast, and which he is ready to do mentally and emotionally, but we have to be careful ourselves to not overdo it with him, but overdo it from a physical standpoint and an expectation standpoint.
I totally agree. With Sidney Brown coming back, you don't want to rush him out there, but like Vic Fangio said, like his skill set, like the things he do, and what he can add to this team. So I can't wait to see Sidney Brown out there, because the last game was a reality check. CJ Gardner-Johnson got hurt. It's nothing permanent or anything like that. It's probably nothing even bad, because he talked about it on his stream. Like, we all healthy, so that let me know he's good. And Reed Blankenship was sick. That's why I'm not talking about the hit no more on Baker Mayfield, because dealing with that heat, just to give an excuse, dealing with that heat, plus you possibly got a stomach bug or something like that, yeah, you're not going to be as strong in the game. So that's why Reed Blankenship got subbed out. But again, that was just a reality check on how thin we are. I like how Tristan McCullum played. He didn't play bad, but it's like, dang, you went down to Tristan McCullum, and well, I think Avante Mattis actually ended up moving to the safety position, if I'm not mistaken. And that just lets you know how thin we are. And I seen Ringo and I think DeJean was swapping out here and there until CJ came back. It was something like that. But it's like, dang, we need Sidney Brown back because you just don't know. Because believe it or not, Reed been dealing with his injuries. And we know CJ Gardner Johnson got an injury history. So just having Tristan McCullum and Sidney Brown, that will work out. But let's talk about the main Brown, the Batman Brown. AJ Brown said, "My turn. I know we've been dealing with a lot of negativity of what's going on in Philadelphia with the Slay and the CJ Gardner Johnson thing, us getting blown out. But this was good news. This was another reality check that we got to chill. We're going to get better. This team haven't been healthy since week 1, and we seen the potential of how good this offense can be. Week 3, we seen the potential how good this defense can be. Now, if it could just mesh and come together later in the season and just snowball into positive things, that would be great. Because again, Devontae Smith is going to come back. AJ Brown is coming back. Dallas Goedert's still here. Jalen Hurts is still here. Saquon is still here. So we got to see all these things work and see how it works out in the long haul. If our guys stay healthy from here on out, we can be a dangerous team. I know saying that after coming out off that loss 2-2, Eagle Owl, how can y'all be dangerous or how can we be dangerous? Simple. Health. Health. We get healthy, nothing's permanent, we will be fine. Our next opponents, want to combine the possibly 2 games, I think. Jaguars, did they win a game yet? I don't think so. Giants won 1 game. Who else we play? The Browns. Like, we can go on a run into Dallas, run all over them, and we'll be back in action. These next games, we could be 7-2. We could be 7-2 and just change the whole conversation. Like, yeah, the Eagles are dangerous, but there are some things that need to be changed, such as Nick Sirianni and his play calling. Yes, I think Nick Sirianni still got his fingerprints on the play calling because I've seen some staggering things. Like, for example, last year we were last in motion, pre-snap motion, with 10%, I believe. And this year we at 22%, which is a high jump. But Kellen Moore is usually like 25, 26%, which was like 5th in the league last year or 6th, something in that matter. And I just don't see a lot of well, I do see motion here and there. One moment I'm seeing motion, one moment it feel like I'm seeing Kellen Moore. Then the next moment it feel like I'm seeing Nick Sirianni. But this play I'm about to show by Fran Duffy, I think this is more of a Nick Sirianni thing. Let me play this clip.
We're going to get here is Tampa 2. It's an inverted version of Tampa 2. The Bucs were running a ton of it throughout the course of the game, and one way to attack Tampa 2 is to throw a couple of vertical routes at one of those safeties. You're basically splitting the difference. That safety can't cover both of those vertical routes. And so Jalen Hurts brings Jahan Dotson in motion. You're going to try and get Grant Calcaterra down the seam with Jahan Dotson coming down the hash marks. And again, that safety, in theory, should be able to cover both of those routes. You've got Dallas Goedert leaking behind it just in case that corner sinks with Jahan Dotson and takes that route away. You've got Goedert there as a fail-safe. He would be the third in the progression. Saquon Barkley staying in to protect. Johnny Wilson's at the top. He's basically a decoy at this point, the ISO receiver opposite this combination at the bottom of the screen. Now, Jalen Hurts is going to drop back, and again, it's an inverted version of Tampa 2. The Tampa went into all kind of wacky versions of this coverage, but you've got your safety there at the bottom of the screen. That's the safety that they're working. There's your middle linebacker dropping down the middle of the field. And so Jalen Hurts, he wants to hit Calcaterra over the top of the linebacker inside of the safety. Now, if you bring it back to the beginning, you could see that Calcaterra, he gets a little bit delayed on his route. He gets rerouted by the edge rusher from Tampa Bay, and that timing is going to be critical here for Jalen Hurts and for the Eagles offense. So since Calcaterra's got to get off that jam before he gets down the seam, now when Jalen Hurts reaches the top of his drop and wants to get rid of the ball, Calcaterra's not quite ready. Jalen would have to put too much touch on it to get it over top of the linebacker and underneath the safety. This would be a very, very difficult throw. If Calcaterra was a little bit further down the field, you could put a little bit more mustard on it, but at this point, he's going to have to wait another beat. Now, you've got Levante David bearing down. He's blitzing inside. Saquon Barkley steps up, but he's going to lose in this pass protection rep. So Jalen does a nice job protecting the ball with both hands, keeping the ball away from David on that initial rush, protects it, steps up, squares back up. He wants to hit Calcaterra down the middle of the field. As he cocks back to throw, that's where David comes back with that secondary rush, knocks the ball out from behind, and the ball is lost on the ground.
See what I mean? You see, like, we harping on the fumble, which I'm not giving Jalen Hurts no excuse. A fumble is a fumble. That was a momentum killer. But why are you running the 4 verticals in the red zone like that? Nobody's in the middle of the field. You don't have your stars. Work that middle of the field. Work the short routes. Try to get your guys open quick, especially if they blitzing. But you got Grant Calcaterra. That's your hot read on a 4 vertical? Like, come on, man. That's a terrible call. And I've seen that play time and time again with a Nick Sirianni type play. Whereas though that middle of the field just wide open. It's the play calling, man. Nick Sirianni got his fingerprints all over this. He do. He just need to take a step back. And I know it's the fire Nick Sirianni train out here, but all the Eagles are going to do is hire another puppet. That's the problem. Like, when Doug Peterson first came, he was a puppet, but eventually he wanted his own thing going. And Howie and them said no. And he got fired. Eventually found a job with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I mean, the higher ups are not going to hire, a strong coach. They just not going to do it. So is Nick Sirianni our best option? Maybe. Because all we're going to do is hire possibly another puppet. And honestly, firing the head coach in the beginning of the season or mid-season is a bad look. What team was successful doing that? You got to ride this thing out. I know it's hard to say. I know. We got to just pause, ride this thing out with Nick Sirianni, and hopefully it goes good. And hopefully, you know what? He say, I'm completely done with play calling. I'm letting the coordinators handle it. I promise you we can go far. But I think it's ego. I think he want to show that he's a good play caller in this league. And he's not. He's just simply not. That's just my opinion on Nick Sirianni, man. But let's talk about some good things. As another good thing is Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean looked like he might get an opportunity to start. But let me play this clip.
At slot corner, do you see Avante keeping that role here, or is Cooper getting up to speed where?
Yeah, Cooper's closing in on being ready, where we just at some point we'll put him out there. But Avante, has played fine in some areas. Obviously, he's had some plays that he'd like to have back, like all of us, including me. But yeah, he's getting better.
What are Chauncey's issues in terms?
Sound like Avonte Maddox's spot might be lost, maybe not, but it sounds like Vic Fangio saying Cooper DeJean is catching up. I like to hear that. Cooper DeJean deserves a shot because what I've seen from Avonte Maddox is the tackling thing, and I don't have that question when it comes to Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean will tackle, and that's my thing with Avonte Maddox. Decent player, but just not a hitter like that. And that's why I don't ever like him at safety when we was trying him out there. It's like he's not no downhill. He gonna hit you hard. No, he's not. He gonna try to shoestring tackle a guy, and more than likely that guy is gonna dodge it. And that's the type of player Avonte Maddox is. Bad enough he's getting older, so he's technically losing a step. So he don't got that super good coverage skills anymore. Just is what it is. And it's just time for some new blood, man. It's time for some new blood. And hopefully, Cooper DeJean can get that spot in that cell and really help us with the tackling thing. Again, a lot of people want to get on Vic Fangio, like, the scheme, this and that. But there were plenty of opportunities for short yardage gains and avoiding the big plays, like the Godwin play. I just go back to that when Avonte Maddox completely missed. Instead of that play being 1 or possibly 2 yards, it went for 28 off a missed hit. We had 16 missed tackles, and off those missed tackles, the Buccaneers gained 105 yards. Utterly ridiculous. Should be ashamed of that. But again, hopefully we clean this thing up because we don't have too many super hot games anymore, so we can't use that as an excuse down the road. And hopefully this team, change the narrative. Just change the narrative. But hey, man, what do you think? How do you feel about the news? AJ Brown coming back. Also, Cooper DeJean, Sidney Brown, Bryce Huff, all this good stuff. But this is Eagle Al, man. I'm out.